I'm joined from New York City by Jiayang Fan. She's a staff writer with the New Yorker magazine. Thanks for joining us. So what's behind local Chinese favorites like dadong making its way to the United States, and could we see even more?
I think there's a good chance that we'll see more because Chinese cooking has traditionally been very popular in the U.S. There's a rich history of Chinese immigrants coming to the U.S. And I think more and more there are Chinese tourists who are looking for authentic Chinese cooking even as they're exploring the U.S. So having chains that they know well in cities like New York City, I think is very comforting for tourists and a revelation for locals who haven't had Peking duck that's really authentic.
How can they set themselves apart, all these new places? How can they set themselves apart from all of the other Chinese options that already exist, though?
I mean, that's a good question. If you go down Canal Street, there are any variety of Peking duck. But I think this place, by its location, dadong, and its size, is very upscale, and it really has this product, this dish down. And I think it knows that it's very popular in Beijing, in China, and coming to the U.S. I think it has the confidence that both Americans and Chinese immigrant locals will really enjoy the dish.
Well, let's look at how they get the word out. How do Chinese food brands market themselves overseas, and how is it different? How different is it than marketing back home?
Again, I think there's probably a variety of answers to that question. But I think that in the U.S., if they don't have a brand already, it's more about establishing that brand. Dadong in China, I think, is well known to the middle classes, the middle upper classes, and in the U.S., I think it's a completely unknown quantity, and that's why 3 Bryant Park is such an important address. I think it wants to be at a location where there are many tourists, there's a lot of foot traffic, there's a lot of businessmen, and I think more than anything else, it's about establishing that brand. In terms of how it markets itself differently, I think in China, it only needs to, be a dish that's, delicious, essentially. And here in the U.S., it wants to be international. It wants to establish itself as a place that caters to both, Chinese who are looking for very local, authentic cuisine, and also people of all different cultures, and Americans who, don't necessarily know what Peking duck is, and is just looking for something new.
As we mentioned, Chinese flavors translate across the world. It is everywhere in every country. What do you think we'll see next? And are you hearing any buzz there in New York of the next big thing?
Again, the next big thing feels like something that we're always chasing, and I certainly as someone who's Sichuanese, for a long time I've heard, Sichuanese is the dish of the moment or the cuisine of the moment, and I'm not even sure if that's completely true because Sichuanese cuisine has been in the U.S. and in New York for a very long time. I do know that there's a trend towards spicier flavors. I don't know if that's my own bias, but flavorful dishes, I think, are very popular. And it also, I think, is an opportunity for Americans, for non-Chinese, non-Asians to, stretch their palate, to really kind of know how much heat they can take.
All right, Jiayang Fan, thank you so much for joining us from New York City.